What up, guys? I'm backstage at Yperfest here in Belgium. I'm dropping this episode today. I listened to it since I've been on tour. It's fucking awesome, but it's really long. I know people have been complaining a little bit about how long the episodes have been, so this is our first part one and part two. So this is part one of Mike Judge. Hope you guys enjoy. This is an amazing conversation with an amazing human. Thank you, Mike.
One life, one chance, gotta do it right. One life, one chance, gotta do it right.
Welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. Today I have a very, very special guest, a good friend of mine. Welcome to the podcast, my friend Mike Judge. How you doing, Mike?
What's up, brother?
We're finally on the phone together. For those who are tuning in right now, this is not Mike Judge from Beavis and Butthead. This is the original OG Mike Judge from the band Judge. The man, the myth, the legend. I have so many questions for you. We've been trying to lock this down for months. We're going to do it this past weekend, but Joe had the podcast equipment. He got stuck in the Carolinas. We didn't get to see each other in Jersey. I wanted to do it in person with you, but it's crucial that I have you now because I'm in the middle of all my New York City, the New York City, chapter of my life, which is interesting because I only met you once back then, probably, but we actually became way closer since you came back. On the Judge reunions. I don't know if we ever met back then, do we? Do you know?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think
I'm not 100%, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right, so before we get to that and all what's happening now, I want to take it back to you. First and foremost, where were you born?
I was born Montville, New Jersey.
Born in New Jersey, pretty much lived in New Jersey most of your life?
Yeah.
And how was that growing up in New Jersey?
It was all right, it was like a little town. When I was first growing up, there wasn't many people here. My father was from Manhattan, and then he moved to West New York, and then kept going west. He wanted to get away from the city.
Yeah. So
he found this place, Montville, which is right off the highway, and it was just nothing but fields, farmland, and shit. But it was cool because it was right off the highway, so we're actually 25 minutes from the city, but
Wow.
You would never think of it.
Yeah. That's pretty odd. It's weird to have something so like country and so like kind of in the woods and it's so close to Manhattan. It's always mind-boggling me, especially in like some places in New Jersey, how close they are to Manhattan. But like, it seems like a whole different freaking country. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So you got brothers, right? How many brothers you have?
I have two brothers. One passed away, and I have a sister who passed away.
Wow. And how long ago did that happen? Like when you were younger, or was it when you were in adult life?
Yeah, my oldest brother and sister passed away before I was even around. So.
Oh wow.
Never got to meet them.
Wow, that's heavy. I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
So then there's my other brother. He's 10 years older than me, So
yeah,
there was like a big gap.
Yeah. So how was Mike Judge in school?
I could have been great. I think I was the way I was brought up. I wasn't brought up around a lot of people. So when I first got thrown into school, I was like kind of introverted, shy, couldn't talk to people, instantly labeled like a freak, outcast.
Yeah.
So, didn't mind it much. And then I was pretty good in school. And then in high school, when all like social cliques start taking over, that's when I really figured out that I was like an honest to God outcast.
Yeah.
That just didn't fit in anywhere.
What grades did you figure that out? Just for like middle school or just when you got into high school?
Yeah, I guess middle school. Around 8th grade, I started feeling it, and then freshman year of high school was like a sledgehammer across the head when it came to what's cool and what's not cool.
Yeah. And did your brother didn't go to school with you because he was 10 years older, so it was just you in there pretty
Yeah,
much.
he was already gone.
Yeah.
He was already doing his thing. So I had like a couple of kids who I knew, but basically once I got into high school, I was on my own. And like I said, I didn't talk much. I was a real fucking, I guess, wallflower, so to speak, you know. And that got me a label as a fucking freak. And then basically I just shut down totally to the point where I got kicked out of all my classes, and then I was put in a special class called transitionals.
Okay.
So we took all our classes in one class in this little corner of the school.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to walk around the hallways. You know, most of us were troublemakers, just kids like that, and then kids like me who couldn't, you know, handle it socially, I guess.
Yeah.
So they stuck us in that class, and that's where I spent my 4 years in school. And it was great because the teachers were a different type of teacher, you know. They weren't like the one I had. I had one teacher for 3 years. He was like a Vietnam vet. He was all screwed up in the head, but he was awesome.
Yeah.
And then my last year was another great guy, and I mainly didn't do much book work. Played a lot of chess, and
awesome.
Graduated.
So you had pretty decent grades during that time.
Yeah, enough to pass. I didn't really care, you know.
Yeah.
Like, not to be like all punk rock and shit, but on like tests and shit, I would just write like lyrics to like Descendant songs, you know, and just hand it in, you know, just to feel like a motherfucker. So teachers didn't get it. They're like, "What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm not a loser? What?" You know, like shit like that.
So, okay, so did you play sports too when you were in school or no?
I played football for like a year, but
Yeah.
I couldn't get into the fucking that jock mentality,
Totally.
locker room bullshit.
Yeah. So no sports. So okay, so you mentioned Descendants. So okay, you're in high school. Your brother's not in school with you. You're like the weirdo in the school. You're in New Jersey. So you must have found some other people that were into the same shit you're into, you know?
Yeah, it seemed like what happened was I was like hanging around. Like I wouldn't go in the lunchroom because too much being an easy target there. So I wound up like finding my way out to like this area where everybody would go out to smoke, like the smoking lounge.
Yeah.
And so I'd go out there because no one would fuck with you. The people out there were like freaks, burnouts and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I could just mingle in and fucking mind my own business. And I would see these guys who were just hanging by themselves off to the side. And they, you know, they looked all fucked up. You know, they had spiky hair and shit, and, you know, fucked up shirts and shit. I had no idea what that was about. And so after that, I noticed them, and I noticed that they didn't give a shit that they weren't part of like a bigger clique. You know, there was just a handful of them, and they were happy like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. I started noticing them more and more around the school, and then eventually I got put into this homeroom where one of them was in there, and I started talking to him, like, you know, just making a conversation, and he started telling me about, like, you know, bands and stuff, and he's into punk rock, and I was like, what the fuck's that? And he's like telling me all this shit, and then he was like, he actually said, you need a ride home after school. You know, stop by my house, and because we have band practice. And I was like, you know, like, what do you mean you're in a band? And he's like, yeah, we have a band. This band was called Sand in the Face.
Nice.
And so I wound up going with them, and they're like, you got to go home or you want to hang out? I was like, I'll hang out. Went inside, listened to them jam, and I was fucking blown away. They're like this little punk rock 3-piece. Fucking, yeah. I was so stoked that it was these kids, you know, banging out these songs, making music, screaming and shit, and having a fucking blast. And that was it.
That was it for you.
That's one.
Was that?
Yeah, I just wanted to be a part.
Yeah, have you seen live music before that?
No, never.
Yeah, and like, what was your musical taste before that? before?
Basically, I had my brother's.
8-tracks.
See, my brother's 10. Yeah, my brother's 10 years older, right? So, like, he's in the 70s and he's got this music collection. And the 80s turns around, he turns into like this disco type guy, right? And he don't want any of this record, so he gives me this whole box of records, and it's all like, Creedence, Kiss, Bowie, all this shit.
Damn.
And so that's what I would listen to. I used to listen to that shit, and constantly, just every day, just listening to music, to the point where I was like, I guess almost in like this fucking fantasy world where I was like living out this shit, playing air guitar and stuff. And that was it.
And so that's we listened to that, and then you get exposed to this punk band, this 3-piece punk band, friends of yours, and they're the ones who are like, yo, check out these bands, like, pretty much.
Yeah, like it was great because the one dude, the singer, this guy Paul, right? He's like, what's your name? Shit. We introduced each other. He's like, I'm like, I have no idea what any of this stuff is, dude. I'm like way out of my element. So that day he drives me home and he gives me like the Black Flag Nervous Again record.
Sick.
Tells me to take it home, listen to it. So I listened to it. I was I wasn't prepared for it. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then every day I would get another record from him, like, Sex Pistols records and all that kind of shit. And then I remember I talked my father into taking me to a record store we had a couple towns over called Looney Tunes because I wanted to get like a record.
Yeah, I remember Looney Tunes.
And so he took me over, and I just went to the guy and I was like, listen, I want to buy like a punk rock record though. Like, you have this record, Nervous Again by this band Black Flag. So the dude's like, nah, I ain't got that, but their new record came out. It's called Damage. Do you want it? And I looked at the cover. It was just like fucking fist in the mirror, and I was like, holy shit, this is an epic point in my life right now. I can feel it.
Yeah.
I fucking got that record, brought the Damaged record home, played it, fucking loved it, put on side 2, and was fucking floored. Side 2 of the Damaged record was my life in a fucking nutshell.
That's awesome.
And that was, I was obsessed after that.
And then after that,
and it wasn't like long after that those guys are like, we're going to a show. You think you sneak out for a night show? And I was like, yeah, no problem. Because no one cared. And my father was like, I only live with my father and my brother. My brother was always out. My father was always out. He owned the bar like a couple towns up, so he was never around. So I could just come and go as I pleased.
Wow. How old are you? How are we talking?
That was the way it was from like when I was 11 on. So there's never any structure at all, My father would work all day and drink all night, I was like that type of dude.
Wow. So no religion, no religious family, no strict curfews, no none of that stuff.
Nothing, dude.
You're on your own.
Nothing.
Yeah.
All I had to do is not get caught. Just don't bring the police to the house. That's it.
Damn.
That's why after a while, so I go to my first show, right? My first show is like this like big show in the Irving Plaza. It was like Crowd and Adrenaline OD, Beastie Boys, something like that. It's like really big show. And it was epic, And all this shit's going around. I learned about the Misfits who were wound up being like a couple towns away from me.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking so stoked that this band is like actually Jersey guys, because it was weird being a Jersey guy in New York back then.
I'm sure that's crazy thinking that like the Misfits live a couple towns over from you. That's bugged out. That's awesome.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
And so I would want to do that like every fucking night. Like, can we come? Let's go to do a show every night, because it was so epic.
Yeah.
But those guys are like not to that point. They were very like New Jersey punk rock. They would drive to shows in New Jersey and just big shows in New York.
Yeah.
But I had no way to get around in New Jersey. But I could walk down to the highway and catch the bus into the city.
Yeah.
So it was much easier for me to go to New York shows than to any show in Jersey because I would have to get a ride.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. I found out they they actually took me to my first matinee at CBGB's, which was like the old Agnostic Front with John Watson.
Yeah.
And
Wow, shit.
that was like a Saturday afternoon, and I was like fucking blown away. Like everything was just fucking great that day. And I find out that this CB does this every weekend, and I was like, I got to go every weekend. I got to be here every weekend. But no one would go, so that's when I would start going to the bus and just going into the city
solo
on my own, and just fucking. It was epic.
So you were a teenager then, and still in high school, going to shows by yourself to Manhattan.
Yeah, dude, I was like fucking 14.
Were you scared?
Some shit like that. I don't know why, but I wasn't scared. I used to have I don't know why, but I had so much fun, walking out of Port Authority and just walking through Midtown with, as bad as shit was back then, I had a fucking blast. Like, there was like karate and pornos on every corner, fucking everybody was getting robbed and shit.
Charles Bronson movies, Death Wish and shit.
and I fucking loved it, man. I just loved it.
It's almost like you're out there, you're just like facing it all. Like you're a young kid, but you feel like a man and adult. You're getting off all by yourself, walking through Manhattan by yourself, like a little kid, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah. I look at it now, and I look at like kids who are like 13, 14 now. I'm like, holy shit! There's no way that this kid could do that. But like, I don't know, what did I look like doing it? It's a weird thing, but there were a few of us who were like that, who were that young doing it.
Yeah.
Especially us Jersey kids, And
it's pretty amazing that however how you grew up, and you had that freedom to do what you wanted, and your dad's like, just don't bring the cops home. That you could have took a crazy ass path, but instead you like straight edge and a hardcore band, going to shows. Like you weren't like really wilding out, were you? Did you start wilding out after that or anything before all that stuff or no?
I was already fucking up like big time. Like I was already drinking and doing whatever.
So you were partying, you were going to the city by yourself, going to shows and partying out there by yourself, or with friends out there, whatever. Yeah.
I actually was getting my shit together when I started doing that.
Okay.
When I was younger, all right. So I don't usually go into this part of my life, all right. But like I said, my mom passed away when I was like, I don't know, 10, 11 years old.
Yes.
So I lived with my father and my brother. And my father doesn't want to fucking have a kid hanging around. He doesn't want to take care of a fucking kid. It's obvious to me he doesn't want to take care of a kid. Mm. He owns a bar. He was a big drinker in town.
Yeah.
And my brother was a partier. And when I'm like 10, he's 20. So he doesn't want his little brother hanging around. He doesn't want to stay home, watch his little brother.
Yeah.
My father doesn't want to stay home, watch his little kid. So I spent a lot of time with like neighbors.
Gotcha.
And being like a hillbilly town that it was, I was always in the back of somebody's pickup truck, parked in some bar while the parents were inside getting loaded and the kids were out in the parking lot playing. Damn. That's just the way I grew up from like an early age up.
Yeah.
So then, my mom passes away. Now my father's like, I'm not saying he's a dick, but he just doesn't want to raise a kid.
Yeah.
And so basically his way of doing it was just, well, he can feed himself and he can, he knows where his bed is. He'll be fine. He leaves me to my own devices.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, so the weekends would come, my father would just want to fucking go up to his bar and not come back. So he started sending me to my grandmother's house, which was back in West New York, over like Bergen County, right across the river from the city. So I lived with my grandmother on the weekends, and my older cousin was like a full-blown junkie, like just a full-blown junkie. Yeah. And so was her boyfriend. And my grandmother was, she just didn't know. I don't know if she knew, but it seemed like she didn't know because she was always like, you know, my cousin would always be like, I got to go to the clinic. And then my grandmother was, take Michael with you. So, you know, I'd be like 10 years old standing in line at a methadone clinic. You know, it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
So the fucking routine was she would go to the fucking methadone clinic, get her shit, and then we would hit the city, and we'd go to the Bronx, and then she would score dope, and then drive around, do whatever, find a movie theater, fucking go into the movies. I would sit like 2 rows in front of them while they shot up 2 rows behind me. It's a movie theater in the Bronx.
Dude.
And that's the way my fucking weekends were for shit from like fucking 9, 10 years old until, you know, 13. And, you know, I remember the fucking blackout in 1977, being in this big boat of a car fucking while they drove around robbing people and shit, or robbing apartments.
While you're sitting in the car.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I remember all that shit. Like, it was just a crazy way to grow up.
Yeah.
So by the time I was like, you know, 10, 11 years old, I fucking knew how to fucking, you know, tie off and tap a vein and shit. I just knew way too much.
Damn.
And then other shit happened with other, you know, there was like this fucking kind of like sexual abuse type deal with these other cousins of mine. It was just
Mike.
tormented fucking childhood, right? But I just never let myself think about it, you know.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. I always just said, hey, it's not my fault. I mean, I'm just a fucking kid. What am I supposed to do?
100%.
So as time goes on now, when I'm like 13, 14 years old, you know, I'm just like, I'm not going down to West New York anymore, you know. Besides, my fucking cousin winds up nodding out with a cigarette and burns the whole apartment building down anyway.
Holy shit.
So my grandmother's now living up here with my father, and I'm 13, 14 years old, and now I found this new family in New York, and I want to go see them, you know, as much as I can.
Yeah.
So I started taking the bus into the city, and, you know, I fucking find a life there. You know, I spend the day like hanging around in Midtown, just fucking having a ball, laughing at all the fucking marks, and then wind up downtown. And that's where I met like the most important people in my life. I met down there.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Is like, who were some of the first people you met from some of those bands that you're still friends with today? And then obviously like with your first band that started before Judge. You know, so
Death Before Dishonor.
Yeah, Death Before Dishonor. So like, what happened? So what's the next move when you start meeting people now?
Well, me and some friends, we had this little band called Future Confusion, and we went and we almost played A7 once. It didn't happen.
Okay.
But I start going to shows. First people I meet are like Vinny and Roger.
Yep.
And we also had I was also friends with another New Jersey kid, Mark Bryan.
Yeah, Super Touch.
Who was from Nutley. And and he's friends with like Keith, the Course for Long guys. They're all from Nutley.
Yeah.
And so I wound up hanging with them and shit, and they would take us in the city. And there was Keith who began to teach me the wrongs and rights of New York, like how to survive.
Yeah.
And then introduced me to Roger and Vinny. And, you know, Roger and Vinny were like, they totally took us under their wing and totally took care of like us younger guys.
It's awesome. As they still do today with other bands, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So then you meet like these kind of like father figures in the scene, because obviously your dad wasn't really there that much. So you go into the scene meeting these older guys you look up to, and they're part of the scene that you love so much, and they kind of become that's total family right there. That's like everything about hardcore music and the hardcore scene that attracts people from kind of broken homes in different situations, and that's exactly what happened to you at that point. You meet Roger and Stigma, who are like huge. It's crazy now because they're not much older than you or I, but back then when you meet these people and they're like in these bands and you look up to them, you think they're like 10 years older than you, but they're really not much older. They just been around, you know, a little bit longer.
Yeah, like dude, I swear to God, the first, like I said, like my father was always like, do whatever you want, just don't bring the cops to the house, and fucking make sure you're in school by Monday. that was the most fucking parenting he did, right?
Yeah.
So I remember I'm like at the point where I'm like staying in the city like all weekend, and I'm crashing at there was this apartment back then called Apartment X on Norfolk Street.
Yeah.
And I don't even know who actually had the apartment, but we'd all wind up crashing there. And then, heavy drugs started taking over that. So I started crashing in outside Apartment X in Roger's van, which was parked out front. I would crash there. So, and dude, I remember this like, it's so crazy because I'm standing out on the sidewalk with Roger, and Vinny comes over, and Vinny goes, where was the kid last night? He goes, he slept in the van. And Vinny goes, on a school night. He slept in a van on a school night. And after that, I started, if it was a school night, I would crash at Vinny's house.
Wow.
It's like great. That was like more parenting than my parents did.
That's crazy. I could totally see Vinny saying that and hearing your voice. May actually sound like him. So at that point, you're going to shows. So you were still in school, obviously, and then like, what did you want to do with your life? Did you really want to do music? Like, was that your goal at that point, or?
No, I mean, I was in a band, and I wanted to be in a band, but I never pictured the band doing anything.
And you
I never even pictured any.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sang first, right?
Yeah.
I sang, and then Mark Ryan was a good friend of ours. He was always with us, traveling with us, and Vinny hooked us up with a drummer, this dude Billy Psycho.
Yes.
And he played drums for us. So we played A7 like once or twice with that lineup, and then we're supposed to play A7 this night, and we can't find Billy, and we find Billy in the park in Tompkins Square, and he's whatever he's doing, he was doing. He was like talking to trees. He was like talking to a tree and shit. It was like fucking really weird.
Damn.
So we walked out of the park, and we're like, we got to do something. We can't be in a band with this dude. And that's when I was like, let Mark Ryan sing. I'll figure out how to play drums just so we can keep the band together. And that was the beginning of Death Before Dishonor, which turned into Super Touch.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy. So what year would that be?
Probably 85, 86.
Yeah. 85, 86. And so you're still in school, like what
maybe even 84, because
damn.
It was probably like 84, 85. So I joined Youth of Today in 87, so.
Okay, so how old are you in 84, 85? You're still in high school, obviously.
Yeah, graduated in 86.
Okay. Let's say, in 86 you graduated and your band's playing shows, and then are you still kind of like partying and hanging out and just before you became straight as you met Youth of Today guys and stuff like that, or?
No, I was done drinking and all that shit. What happened was years before, my usual routine, which is what I learned from these older punk rockers who brought me in, was, we go to the show, go to CB's, walk across the streets of the bodega, buy like a small bottle of whatever and drink it, get loaded, go inside and have fun.
Yeah.
So I remember it was like the night of UK Subs played like a couple night shows, like middle of the week at CB's, and no one would go because of the middle of the night. So I went by myself.
Damn.
And I did my usual thing, and I got fucking really, really fucking loaded. And I did something to the wrong fucking guy, and I got my fucking head handed to me inside CB's, like a fucking nasty, nasty beatdown.
Damn.
And I just remember like fucking opening my eyes, and I was like laying down in the fucking corner underneath the speakers of the dance floor in CB's, and I was like, fuck, like what the fuck? I was wrecked.
Holy shit.
And I was walking, it was just the beginning of a miserable night. So I was all fucked up. And there was this dude, Eric Casanova, who was a friend of ours. he was like, "Are you all right? You're all right. You should go get checked out." I was like, "No, I got to go home. I got school tomorrow. You know, I got to fucking go."
Damn.
And so I get up to Port Authority and I miss my bus because the last bus was like at 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. So I missed my bus. Now I got to catch the first bus, which is at like 5:36. So I'm sitting in the chairs in Port Authority and there's no one around. And these fucking two cops come and they're looking at me and I'm all busted up and shit. I must have looked like a homeless runaway kid or something.
Damn.
So they started asking me all these fucking questions and I just try to ignore them. And I get up and I walk into the fucking bathroom and I walk up to the fucking urinal and taking a fucking piss. And these two cops walk in behind me and they're constantly like saying shit to me, asking me questions. And my head is just still ringing from getting my head kicked in. And then the fucking cop just takes the back of my head and, you know, shoves my face into the fucking wall and says, you know, get back to Jersey, don't come back, kid. You know, go back to where you came from. And fucking just like totally levels me.
Holy
and
shit.
I was like, just totally fucking, my nose was like fucking broken. It was just a mess. So I wound up getting onto the fucking bus and I get into town and I'm walking. I have like a half a mile walk to get to school. And I don't want to go home because I'm all fucked up. So in my fucking brilliant fucking mind, I'm just going to go to school.
All bloody and
not
all messed
realizing,
oh,
dude, not realizing what a mess I fucking look like. But I wound up not going to school because on the walk home I was thinking about all these things, and I fucking like, I just was so fucking happy because I felt like last night on my own, you know, I went into this fucking city that all these other guys are, you know, afraid to go to unless they're in a group.
yeah.
I went there by myself, fucking fought a guy who was like a man, even though I lost, I still tried. And I was like, nothing. And then, you know, like my whole life I was getting my ass kicked by jocks in my town.
Yeah.
It's just what they did. They found you by yourself and they kicked your ass.
Yep.
So on that walk home, I was like, I am not afraid of anybody in this fucking town because last night I fought a fucking monster.
In Manhattan.
You know,
Yeah.
I fought a fucking monster and fucking lived. Like, what are any
Yeah.
of these fucking guys gonna do?
Yeah.
And that was like it was like a whole new world for me after that.
Holy shit. I survived the night
But
in New York.
and I also came to the conclusion that in my mind I was like, the only way I got beat up so fucking bad is because I was fucking loaded. If I wasn't fucking loaded, that wouldn't have happened. And that was it. I stopped drinking, stopped everything. I didn't know it was straight edge. I didn't know anything about straight edge.
Yeah.
I just knew that getting fucked up got me fucked up.
Yeah, it wasn't a minor threat thing. It wasn't anything like that. It was just a real life situation.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there were a couple guys in the city like Kevin Crowley and the dude from Reagan Youth was Al Pike. I think he was straight edge. Kevin Crowley was straight edge.
Yeah.
So there were a couple guys, but I didn't know it was straight edge. I know Kevin Crowley had that drug-free youth on his back of his jacket.
Yeah.
I never gave it a second thought until that walk home. It all made sense. Like,
it's pretty amazing. Actually.
I want to be a part of this dangerous fucking place. I have to have my fucking head on me. My head has got to be fucking clear. I have to be able to think.
Yeah. So at that point, you're not claiming straight edge. You're just all of a sudden not doing it anymore. And then how soon after that did you meet Youth of Today guys and join that band?
I guess like a couple of years later, like this whole thing happened where you know, just before Dishonor started, like everybody started playing like a little bit more metal type music.
Yep.
And we were getting stupid with it. And we played this show at CB's and I just felt like an embarrassment, you know. It was like we had this fucking dude on guitar who was like had like this laser pistol on his pickups making this weird sound. It's just he didn't have like a punk rock background and shit. It was like it got crazy, and we were doing like Iron Maiden covers and shit, and I was just like, I'm out of here. You know, I wound up splitting for I wound up quitting the band and like splitting the whole scene for like maybe a year or so.
Damn.
Because I just felt like I just like pissed all over this fucking family that took care of me for so many years, and I just turned my back on it.
Mm.
And so it was, a bunch of time went by, like a year or so, and then Mark Ryan, who was a singer of Death Force Honor at the time, he fucking calls me. He's like, "Hey, let's go to a show. There's this band I want you to check out." And I was like, I'm not doing shows no more. I'm not into it. He's like, "No, there's this hardcore band that plays hardcore the way we loved it, and they're doing it again. And but they're a new band. Come check them out." So we drove up to Boston to see Youth of Today. They turned out for Youth of Today, and I was fucking blown away. I was in love. So I don't know how, like maybe a week or two later, they wound up playing Philly, and so Mark Ryan talks me into going. So I drive out to Philly, catch him again, and I'm just like fucking in love with it again.
Yeah.
And but on the way home, I wound up totaling my car, like getting into this car wreck.
Holy shit.
So, and I was all fucked up. So that kept me out for a little while longer, but I had a lot of time to think while I was like healing. And I fucking was in love with fucking Youth of Today, and I wanted to play music like that again. And so Death Before Dishonor got back together to try and be like that, you know, to get back to the music we were playing in the beginning.
Yeah.
And you know, it was cool again.
How old were you then? You still
19, 20, 21,
All right.
somewhere around there.
So that's the late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, it's like 86. It's like 86 because
shit.
Because we're hanging out with all those guys and shit. Like Ray and Purcell had moved to New York.
Okay.
So I'm seeing them a lot. And because I remember Cro-Mags were playing the Ritz with somebody, like I think I might have been like the Cro-Mags Motorhead show at the Ritz. And I remember like me and my girlfriend at the time, we were walking down to check it out.
Yeah.
And when we got down to like around St. Mark's, I ran into Capo. Okay. And then Capo was like, "Hey, you know, we need a drummer. You feel like trying out?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool." Mm-hmm. And I'm not letting them know that I was stoked, but I was pretty fucking stoked.
Yeah.
And then we get to the show, and wound up running into Purcell. And then Purcell asked me again, "Yeah, please try out. Come try out." And then I was like, really, really fucking excited. And that was the beginning of that.
Who was their drummer at the time?
I think the drummer at the time was Tommy Carroll.
Oh, shit. That's awesome.
Yeah. Tommy Carroll and Craig.
Yeah, that was the lineup.
Yeah, so they wound up, for whatever reason, Tommy quit or didn't want to play. And so they needed a drummer because they had a record coming out. And I went and tried out this place called Giant Studio.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Fucking what a fucking shithole, but made a lot of music in that place.
Was that for? Is that for Can't Close My Eyes? 7-inch? That's what it's for.
No, that was for Break Down the Walls.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, because they gave me the 7-inch to learn songs.
Yeah. And
then when I tried out, and then I got into the band, then we went down. Ray and Purcell were living on like 15th Street, I think.
Yeah.
So I went down there, and they were like, "You want to hear the demo for the new record?" And it was a demo for Break Down the Walls.
Damn.
And like the first song they played me was the song Break Down the Walls. And I was like,
I would have been blown away with that.
Dude, I was like fucking blown away. That song just fucking was like so incredible.
Holy shit. And then Richie was in that lineup too on that record, wasn't Richie on that album too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's who tried me out. When I tried out, it was Ray and Purcell watching and Craig and Richie playing with me.
Oh shit! They were just watching you?
Yeah, dude, it was sick. It was sick. Yeah, you know what was really fucking really sick is I don't remember exactly what happened, but for whatever reason, I wasn't allowed in my house. So, and so I had this tryout coming, right? And so I snuck in my house and I grabbed like a snare drum and a hi-hat and a kick drum. And I went to my girlfriend's house and I set it up there. And for like a week, I was just playing to the, Can't Close My Eyes record.
Yeah.
Just with a snare, kick, and a hi-hat, just to get the speed up. And I just never was that fast anyway. But so I didn't think I was even going to get in the band because I couldn't play as fast as Tommy played or anything like that.
Damn.
But I wound up getting a gig.
It was way different than Death Before Dishonor, at like fast beats, you mean? It was like a different level?
Yeah, it was like super fucking fast, and the breakdowns were crazy, and it's like it was. I mean, I loved it. Yeah. I fucking loved it.
And how do you
think?
And then, like,
as soon as I thought I sucked in the fucking in the tryout. I thought I sucked.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I got in. I don't know. But I just know that as soon as I got in there, like, okay, we're going to Canada next week to fucking, because we got gigs with 7 Seconds. And I was like, what? I was like blown away, dude. I've never been out of fucking, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. It's the farthest I've ever been to.
Have you not flown
anywhere? Now I'm going to fucking Canada, It's like crazy.
And did you like 7 Seconds at that point?
Dude, I love 7 Seconds. That's why I was like I was so like blown away. And I had no idea like how tight those guys were with Kevin.
Yeah.
So we get there, and it was my birthday that weekend. So they get there, and we're all hanging out, and fucking Capo and Kevin Seconds walk in, and they're singing "Happy Birthday" to me.
Dude.
And I was like sitting there going, "Holy shit!" It's like Kevin Seconds like singing "Happy Birthday" to me. I'm like, I don't even know what to do with myself right now. I mean that was the guy. I mean, that's the fucking New Wind record right there. Like,
yo, bro.
There was nothing like that record changed my whole way of thinking.
Me too, dude. Let's just talk about that for a second, because so many people love, obviously, Skins, Brains, and Guts, The Crew, Walk Together, Rock Together, but New Wind lyrically and like all those different songs, Man Enough to Care, Calendar, fucking Night Away, all those for some reason. That I would say, dude, that's my number one favorite 7. That one, then Soul Force Revolution after that. I love all the records, but that New One, for some reason, that time it came out, I totally connected to it myself, man, lyrically and everything, man. Fuck.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I had all those records. I had like Committed and Skins, Brains, all those records, and then all of a sudden New One comes out, and it just floored me, dude. That's like one of the only records I had to like go buy again because I wore it out. I played it like so fucking much.
That's amazing.
Like, that record was a fucking total life changer.
I think that when Kevin said on the podcast, he said when they were touring on that record that, the response was kind of lukewarm in the Midwest. And when they got to the East Coast, he said that the response for the New Wind songs was the most incredible reaction they got on the whole tour. And he was shocked because New York has this harder edge to it, and he wasn't expecting people to even like that record. But he said when he got there, all the New York people, probably you included, everybody was so receptive. He was really happy, on that tour. It was '86.
Yeah, I mean, I think New York is special, right? New York is special because that scene, especially from the beginning, it wasn't that the people who were in that scene were harder. It's just, I think they all had to work harder to be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
that makes sense.
In the beginning of that fucking scene, like, we were like, had to fight whole neighborhoods, like it wasn't safe for us to go to fucking shows. We couldn't fight with each other because we had to fight whole neighborhoods were against us.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember like the Bad Brains are playing somewhere, and it was like one of the first nights I'm in New York, and the Bad Brains are playing somewhere, and I want to go, and everyone is just like huddled outside CB's, and Keith is like talking to everybody, going, "Listen, we're all going to go together, and we're going to stay together because it's a fucking shitty part of Brooklyn, and so we're all going to stay together, and no one gets lost, all right?"
Mm-hmm.
And it was like listening. I was like, I've never been part of like a thing like that where everyone's like looking out for each other and shit. But that's the way New York was.
Yeah,
I think, and I also think New York was always like ahead of everybody else when it came to music. And that's why, like, when New Wind comes out, people ate it up because they weren't everybody was looking for something good. It didn't have to be cookie cutter. They just wanted something good.
Yeah,
the hard edge came from this city is a fucking hard place to live in, you know?
Yeah.
And all we got is each other, you know?
Yeah. I agree. And I feel like 7 Seconds was, I don't know, I mean, just lyrically and all that stuff just connected to, they were just singing about things that other bands were really kind of scared to sing about, other topics, not just boys fun, just all that stuff. And like the other people really weren't talking about. So 7 Seconds. So you're going to Canada, you're playing with 7 Seconds, you're in the band, fucking playing your first shows with them. Do you remember what that was like getting on stage that night and knowing you're opening for 7 Seconds and?
Yeah, it was like a big learning curve.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Because I remember actually at that show, this fucking thing happened with like these skinheads, and as soon as it happened, I just started swinging, and I totally got like this talking to like backstage and shit on how like, you know, there's a time for that, but that wasn't the time. We could have talked this out. You know, people wound up getting slashed by these skinheads because trying to get them out of the building and shit.
Oh shit!
And so I actually had Kevin Seconds like sing "Happy Birthday" to me, and then like kind of reprimand me, and all the same fucking night. So it was all kind of, it was pretty fucking
like
cool.
a father figure, man, like a dad and shit. Yeah, that's fuck.
Yeah. But so there was a lot of instances like that, you know, because like Ray had a lot of like Kevin in him.
Yeah, totally.
And he was definitely a fucking leader.
Yes.
Like, dude, when we went on tour, you know, by the fucking second week, I would like go through a wall for that dude. You know, like if he told me to fucking do whatever, I would do it. I was fucking. He was just that type of guy.
Yeah.
But there were definitely times where I was just used to reacting a certain way because of the way I came up.
100%.
And he wasn't about that, you know.
Yeah. And you were like basically hanging out in the streets, going up to New York all by yourself and just, you know what I mean, meeting people out solo and shit. And like,
I mean, there was even like stupid things that just got to me. Like, I'd never been on tour before, so when we were out on tour, I mean, we were like fucking, we were fucking bumming. I mean, nobody had any money. We were like making gas money at gigs and shit. And like, we were fucking on the balls of our ass. I mean, we were fucking starving. We're tired and shit. And, so I just remember being at this one show and Ray's like trying to sell a record. And, this dude's like starts fucking getting loud with him about the price he was selling it for. And I was standing behind Ray at the time, and I was like, when I hear the kid saying this, all I can think about is like how much suffering and punishment we're going through to get here, you know?
Yeah.
And like this guy's talking to us like we're fucking these, we're raking in the money because we're selling this record for whatever. Yeah. And I just want to, kick the dude's teeth in. Yeah. and it was Capo, talks me down from that. Makes me understand it, you know. This kid don't fucking know. This kid doesn't know that we fucking slept in a junkyard last night, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Fuck, man. So how many tours and stuff did you do with Youth of Today? Like, how long were you in the band for?
Joined in 87. Yeah, I joined in 87 and I left in 88.
Holy shit.
I did like the summer thing, the Break Down the Walls tour, and then like these West Coast things where we fly out to the West Coast and do some shit.
Yeah.
And then East Coast stuff. And then there was the Break Down the Walls tour where, that's where I was like that's when like everything was like when we got out to like California and I first met like the Sloth Crew guys and shit. It was fucking great. Yeah. Then we went up north and we get to San Francisco and we stay at the Maximum Rock and Roll House.
Wow. Tim Yohannan. Yeah, Tim
Yohannan. Tim Yohannan is like, he's just talking to us like in this passive aggressive stuff way. And it's fucking just irking me. Like, this guy is like, I think this guy is making fun of us, but I can't really fucking put my finger on it.
That was
'cause
always
he
the
was a smart
vibe of
dude.
those people too, like, of that magazine too. You weren't sure if they were mocking. You never were sure what Max was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was making me fucking crazy. And I was like, I think this dude is fucking, I think this guy's making fun of us, and I really want to fucking set it straight. And those guys are like, no, this I got to sing, and now, and in my mind, I'm like, I just feel like too many people are taking shots.
Yeah.
And nobody is doing anything, and we're turning the cheek. And I know that's what we're supposed to do, and that's the right thing to do, but I'm fucking getting tired of not saying something back. I'm getting tired of not doing something back. Like in Detroit, our van gets broken into, all our shit gets stolen, my drum kit gets stolen, my clothes. I have to do the rest of the tour with a couple pairs. Me and Richie are sharing a pair of fucking Avia sneakers.
Damn.
And a couple of pairs of pants that we got from the Salvation Army, you know. And all this, and I'm hearing about like where these fucking, you know, these well-to-do suburban kids and shit, and I'm just like, I just want to fucking take everybody by the fucking throat and fucking say, listen, this is what we've been doing. So, you know, like, it's making me crazy. And it's just building up and building up and building up. And then we get out to San Francisco and the Maximum Rock and Roll thing with those guys. I know they're taking shots at us, but they're not just blatantly coming out and saying it. So
That's
I can't fucking like
shit.
fly
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And it's just building up. It's building up. And then we go to Arizona. These skinheads fucking do some shit, and they set up like this fight at outside this fucking place after the show, but the skinheads don't show up. And now I'm just like, I'm just like, I just want to be let off the leash, you know. I just want to fucking go off.
Yeah.
And you know, I love 7 Seconds to Death, but every time I would fucking want to do something, Kappa would fucking recite some 7 Seconds lyrics to me and fucking get me to calm down. And I just want to lash out because I'm tired of taking shit.
Yeah.
And so our van breaks down. We get to Florida and our van breaks down, and we are stranded in Florida, and we have no money, so we have to work in this junkyard to pay for the parts to fix our van. And I don't know how long we were there, maybe a week maybe.
Yeah.
And somehow we hook up with these girls who live together, and we're crashing in their apartment. But somebody would have to take turns sleeping in the van to fucking, you know, make sure the equipment, what's left of it, sticks around.
Yeah.
So the one night that I was in the van, I was just sitting there fucking thinking to myself like about everything. And, you know, I was just like, this is great. I fucking love this band. But I just wish I had a band where I could just say what I want to say, you know, where I could just be like, I don't want to turn the other cheek this time. This time I want to fucking kick your fucking head in and make you understand. And that's when the fucking whole Judge thing came to my head.
Wow. So that was pretty much the end of it for you when you were on that run, that tour. Like after that, you're like, I'm doing my own shit.
Yeah, I think I made it to like another rehearsal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought we were at Don Fury's, and we started talking about all these songs, these new songs for this next record. And I think I started playing, but then I was like, you know, I just can't fake it anymore. And I just told those guys I didn't want to play.
So you were like you were almost like you were like the protector. You want to protect them. You want to stand up for them. You were like, you know, had their back the whole time, and you couldn't because they didn't want to, you know, take it that route, and you were pent up and you had things you wanted to say, and I feel like you became like the harder straight edge band. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it was just more like in your face and more direct and harder and not candy coated. Not like Youth of Today was candy coated whatsoever, but I was just another level of the Youth Crew vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was like,
It was more angrier.
yeah, because my whole idea of like straight edge and shit was like, okay, it's great. We all want to be better people, and if that's what you want to do, that's fucking fine. But what about the fucking 10-year-old kid who's being carted around by his fucking junkie cousin who's shooting up 2 rows behind him in a movie theater? You know,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't want to hear. I just want to be a better person. I want to help you out.
Yeah.
No, I want to put my foot on your throat and end your fucking misery. You know, there's some people. I mean, there's some people, like, a lot of my anger on that record was about my cousin. You know, her daughter wound up getting sexually abused by her boyfriend while she was nodding out.
Yeah.
All this shit. I mean, like,
it's heavy shit. It's real deep shit.
I just didn't want to do the fucking. I just didn't want to do the nice fucking
approach.
You know, flowers and fucking daisy straight edge shit.
Yeah.
I wanted to just hurt people back.
Yeah. For sure. You were hurting too. You were coming from a place of pain, coming from a place of how you grew up and shit you saw at a young age. All that, you know what I mean? So you had a lot to get off your chest. And do you feel like that was very therapeutic for you at the time, like writing those lyrics and making that record? And
oh yeah, when I wrote the Judge lyrics, because I remember I had an idea for Judge, and I didn't have a name yet, but I said I had this idea for a band. Purcell happened to come to the van to like check on me if I needed water or anything, and we started talking. I was like, dude, you know, when we get back to New York, I think I got an idea for a band. And he's like, I'm into it. I was like, so we get home and, you know, I go back to Jersey and I just start writing fucking words. And I'm kind of like freaked out, like how easy it was for me to write some of these songs. I'm like freaking out. And I call Purcell and I'm like reading them lyrics and he's like laughing and he's like all soaked and shit. And I was like possessed at that point. I was like, I could not fucking wait. And then we're like thinking, he was like, what do you want to call it? And I was like, I want to fucking call it something that's just across the board will fucking just piss everybody off. Just fucking something so fucking elitist that no one will ever confuse Judge for Youth of Today. And that's when I came up with the name Judge just to be like a dick.
I mean, it works and it's powerful and it works with lyrics and it's crazy how you say you started writing, you just kept flowing. You had so much shit inside of you built up for all your childhood to get out with that record, man. And you can feel it, the lyrics, everything, the energy, all of it. It really like, it's like you birthed the fucking baby. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. And people say that Age of Quarrel. I mean, Bringing It Down was like the straight edge Age of Quarrel. That's what people have said, which I think it makes sense to me actually. You know what I mean? It's coming from a different, as far as hardness and recording the guitars and the street, it just everything was singing about was real and raw and it was angry and it was fucking in your face, straight to the point. I don't know, man.
I mean, that's pretty awesome that someone said that. That's
yes,
pretty cool.
I heard that a few times.
You know, like there's records in my life that have meant a lot to me. You know, like the Damaged record, you know, New Wind.
Yeah.
The Break Down the Walls record. Like, another really important record in my life is the SSD Get It Away record. When I heard the Get It Away record, that I love Minor Threat, but I didn't even think about Minor Threat once I heard SSD.
Damn.
And the Get It Away record was everything to me. The attitude on that record.
Yeah.
Just there was nothing like it.
Yeah.
I was like, somehow I want to do a band that sounds like Black Sabbath, SSD, and Last Rites. If I can fucking get those three bands together and make music, that's the band I want to be in.
So those are the three main inspirations for Judge in that record in that time in your life.
Oh yeah, big time.
That's amazing. I didn't even knew that. That's fucking awesome. So All right, so you make the Judge record. What year does that come out?
88, I think.
Yeah, that's what I just moved to New York. Okay, so when that comes out, okay, we got GB's out then, Start Today. Youth of Today might be having like Winning This Alone coming out around the same time, 88 and 9. The scene was that was like through straight edge, all that shit was thriving. Youth, all that in New York was just fucking, it was massive, dude. So when that comes out,
Yeah.
and like, it's got a more like, I don't want to say metal edge, so it's got a more harder edge than any other straight edge shit out at that point. Like this is going to be the hardest record that comes out as a straight edge person or band coming out at that moment, because everything else, it's hard and fast, but this is more like slower with the breakdowns and the riffs, all that. So what was the initial reaction when that came out?
I think there was so many of us at that point in New York that
Yeah.
we were all at each other's shows. So I don't know. I remember the first show we did was at the Anthrax with Drew Beat on drums.
Oh wow, Drew, nice.
And we only did like a couple songs at the end, and it was pretty epic. And that's when we were like, yeah, we're gonna make this a permanent band. Because at first it wasn't even supposed to be a permanent band. It was just supposed to be me and Purcell to make this music so I could fucking rant.
Yeah.
And it was gonna come out in the Schism fanzine. Just like
wow.
A deal like that. It wasn't supposed to be a band.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, like when we rehearsed for it, me and Purcell would go into Giant Studios again, and he would play guitar and I'd play drums, and then we just play, and then he would switch to bass and I would sing and shit like that. Like, cause there's only two of us. So we really put it all together in the studio with Don Fury.
Shout out to Don Fury.
As it was coming along, then we were like, wow, this is pretty fucking cool. This would kind of be cool to play live, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like, well, maybe we'll do like a couple shows,
Yeah.
And then it was just one of those deals.
So it was just going to be a couple shows only?
It wasn't supposed to be any shows.
Yeah.
It's just, once we heard it, we were like, damn, it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, there's going to be, yeah. So when he came out, he started playing shows, and then it's crazy because that was pre-internet, and it was just word of mouth. Like, there's this, you know what I mean? Like, people were talking about it, you know what I mean? Like, throughout the scene.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird, there was no internet and shit, so
yeah.
You play New York and you play Connecticut, and it's fucking pretty kick-ass, and you play Boston and Detroit, and it's pretty kick-ass, and then it gets rough on your way out to California, it's like not a lot of people.
Yeah.
People are like, who the fuck do you think you are? You fucking, you fucking New York fucking tough guy, yeah. Shit like that. Like I found out, that basically like that is the kind of shit that tore the band apart.
Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, for sure.
Because we weren't around for a long time, we got in quick and we burned out quick.
But there's a difference between like being angry and pissed at the world and want to sing about shit, and you're venting through shit all you've been through and just singing honest lyrics about everything that's happening in your life, then like fronting that like you're this tough guy and like you fuck everybody up. That wasn't your intention, and I think that's maybe got misconceived, that the name Judge and how hard it was. Like it's crazy how people have their own, I don't know, different misconceptions about music in general, or a song can be written one way and taken the other way, or what I'm saying, is lyrics, everything,
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the blame for like a lot of that, because it wasn't supposed to be a band in the beginning.
Yeah.
And and on the 7-inch, the Near Crew record, my main purpose was I just wanted to fucking get everything that I had built up inside. I just wanted to get it out.
Yeah.
However came out is the way it was. Then we become a band, right? And then I see how like even like a small dumb band like mine, what these words are bringing out of people in front of me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, like I have to fucking take responsibility for some of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are my words that are causing this. I tried to be better on the Bringing It Down record. I tried to be smarter with what I was saying and getting my point across.
Yeah.
I mean, but by then, people just had this conception of what I was about, and
yeah,
you know, I was like this fucking, you know, I killed drug dealers and shit, and all this fucking wacky shit I fucking heard, and
urban legends.
You know, I heard all these crazy rumors. We pull in the fucking town, and somebody would think I did something, or you know, like just some of the shit was insane because there's no internet or anything for anybody to like check anybody's facts, you know?
Yeah.
So the rumor would start on the East Coast, and by the time it got to the West Coast, you know, I was like a fucking giant killer. You know, it's fucking crazy.
You're a mass murderer. Dude, it's fucking crazy. So by the time you get to the West Coast, the reception in the West Coast probably was awesome, right?
Yeah. Get to the West Coast and, you know, hanging out with the Sloth Crew guys again, just fucking, just really fucking loving every minute.
Yeah.
And it was fucking great, man. And it reminded me of like how much fun it was to be in a band, you know?
Yeah.
And then it comes time where we got to head back home. So the tour continues on the, you know, the southern half of the fucking states.
Yeah.
And things get fucking weird.
That's like one of the last shows in Florida when somebody fucked with the guy in the crowd, correct?
Yeah. I mean, that whole fucking it was like a bad movie the way that whole fucking thing played out. You know, we stop in the Rocky Mountains to fucking check out like this scenic overlook type deal.
Yeah.
We meet this fucking American Indian lady who's selling like jewelry that she's made and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're talking with her, and her son is like, doesn't want to like, every time we look at him, he like hides or something. And she's like, well, don't be offended. His father doesn't like white people.
Oh shit.
And so we're like, you know, all right, you know, it's weird, but okay, no big deal. So we're talking to her, and she's like telling us all this shit, how like, you know, the white people, like fucking, you know, people come here, they litter and shit. And she points like over the railing, and we look over the railing, and just like people dumped all their fucking garbage like out of their cars, like all over this like beautiful scenery and shit.
Yeah.
It was like a real bummer, you know. And so we're talking to her and shit, and she liked us and all. So I don't know if she gave everybody something, but she gives me this bag of like I think it was sage or something, and she says, take this and put it on the tailpipe of your van, and when it smokes, it'll give your trip good luck. You know, it's like something like that.
Yeah.
Something innocent like that. So I'm like, thank you, you know, put it in my bag, and we take off, and we're headed. Forget where we played. Nothing happens. Whatever. Texas gets canceled. There's a Klan rally scheduled, so the show gets canceled. So now we're going straight to fucking Florida, and everybody is worn out. I mean, everybody is fucking worn out. I'm at the point where I don't even like anybody in the van. You know, it's like one of those deals.
How long was the tour for at that point? How long was that tour?
Yeah, it's like one of those deals where you just can't wait to be home.
Yeah.
You got one more gig, and you know it's in Tampa, and you get through it. So we're going through Tennessee, and it's like dusk, 6, 7 o'clock or so, and we get pulled over. So these 2 cops come out. They tell everybody to get out of the van.
Damn.
And they're like asking us all these questions. You know, what we're doing, where we are. You know, what's in here, all because we had all gear like, you know, drum cases and shit. And they want to search everything. And I remember like I'm standing there going, this is such a fucking hassle. You know, that's all I was thinking is this is such a hassle.
Yeah.
And then I heard the one guy going, I think he called us like a fucking Yankee queer or something like that. He said something like a bunch of New York City queers. And when I heard that, I got like this little like tingle down the back of my neck going, this is not just going to be a hassle. This is going to turn into something. I can feel it. And they're mainly talking to me and Purcell, and I think Todd or Rhodey, because we're the oldest. Sammy and Matt, they look like little kids, so they're leaving them alone. And they're talking to me and they're saying all this fucking shit. What am I, why am I down here? What do I do up in New York, in big city New York, shit like that. And he's like right in my face, right? And he's got like all like chewing tobacco in his teeth and shit. Fuck. And then his buddy, the other cop is like standing behind me and he keeps looking over my shoulder at his buddy. And then all of a sudden he looks at his buddy and goes, I can't remember the dude's name. Just say it was Joe. He goes, hey, Joe, do you ever have a nigger? You ever have a nigger woman, Joe? Oh, and the other cop goes, no, I never had a nigger. And he looks at me and goes, you ever have a nigger Yankee boy or something like that? So I'm just standing there. I don't even want my fucking blood is like fucking boiling. Like the only thing I want to do is fucking hit this fucking guy. But I can see fucking Sammy and fucking Matt on the other side of us. And, we all made promises that nothing was going to happen to these guys, to their families,
Yeah. Yeah.
And this dude starts saying all this shit, and he's fucking, every time he talks, like chewing tobacco is like
spitting in your face,
flying out of his mouth, and then he's like, he spits on my fucking sneakers, my fucking precious Van Chuckers. How fucking, how fucking pissed off I was. He spit on he spit on my fucking Chucker boots. I wanted to fucking throw him off the fucking world. But
holy fuck.
I just remember fucking being there going, this is like, I'm like,
it's like a movie.
I'm like totally fucking helpless here because these are fucking two cops. They could easily just fucking
anything to
do whatever. And so he goes in the fucking van. He's like taking all our shit out. All of a sudden I hear him fucking yell, oh my God, we got him now. We got him now. And he's got my bag. And he pulls out that fucking bag of sage. And he goes, what the fuck is this, boy? What is this? Look at the size of this bag. And I'm like,
oh my God.
I don't even remember. I didn't even know what it was at the time. But I was like, so, dude, I tried to explain that a fucking American Indian had a scenic overlook in the Rocky Mountains, gave it to me for good luck. Yeah.
They're like, yeah, whatever.
I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna sound fucking great. So I try to explain, and they just laugh in my fucking face. And then he finds like a bottle of patchouli, and he smells it, and he's like, "What the fuck is this? I thought you guys didn't fuck niggers. Only niggers fuck somebody smells like this." And and we're just like, I'm just like, what the fuck do we do? And we wound up fucking situation. We wound up just giving them all our money. Whatever we had, they gave.
No way they could pay off. Yeah. Fuck. Dude.
Yeah. They drove us. They made us follow them to like a convenience store or some shit. I think, some type of convenience store, and make out, give all the money, and then buy a money order to them, or some shit like that.
Damn, man.
Or it was either that, or they would just lock me and Purcell up because we're the oldest, and we could sit in jail from Friday to Monday or Tuesday.
It's fucking brutal, dude.
So we wound up doing that, and we get back out on the road, and like the spirit of, our spirit is just that there is none.
Beat down.
We're totally, like, I was like, there's no hope for this fucking country. Fuck this fucking place. Fuck the fucking cops. Fuck everything.
Yeah.
Fuck this whole fucking world. We get it? So, but like, how you have to do, like, you get, no matter what you're feeling, when you get to the gig, you got to fucking do your deal.
100%.
So we get there, and the fucking promoter lets us come to his house so we can take showers and shit. And we're hanging out, and things are starting to look up. And Todd winds up coming up to the guy and goes, hey, like, is there like a skinhead problem here? Because we heard things like, oh, no, it hasn't been that way in fucking years. Everything's cool now. Like, great. Take showers, fucking start whatever, get something to eat, head over to the fucking gig. And we're with, I don't know if you know Trevor?
Trevor Simsler?
From Vice?
Yeah, Trevor was there, yeah.
So we're with him, right?
Holy
his
shit.
band is playing. I think we went to his house before.
Wow.
And we fucking head over there. And when we get to the gig, dude, the fucking both sides of the street are just lined with fucking skinheads, like hammer skins.
Damn.
And we're like, what the fuck? Like we thought there was no problems here.
Yeah.
And then the dude comes out and he's like, you guys didn't tell me you have fucking anti-fucking skinhead lyrics, anti-racist lyrics. I'm like, well, what did you think, dude? We weren't fucking Screwdriver coming down here. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
Dude, and they're like, this is going to be a mess. This is going to be a disaster. Public Enemy is playing here tonight at some big place, and they stopped here because of you guys, and that's where they're going. That's where they're going next. And we're like, what the fuck? And dude, there was just like so fucking many of them. There was like so many of them, over 100. It
was like a parade.
They were just lining both sides of the street, and that was like the only time I ever felt like I was really going to get it. Like maybe I was going to like not make it home. Yeah. I actually called my dad to fucking tell him, take care of my dog, make sure nothing happens to my dog if I don't, and he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I can't explain, but just if anything happens, just make sure you take care of my dog. And I just fucking start planning, like, getting ready.
Wow.
And what's great is it's what's great about our roadie Todd, who just passed away, who was like
that's right,
my best friend. He was always up for that. He never showed like that he was worried about anything.
Yeah.
So I'm fucking all panicked and shit, and I'm just like trying to find something to do with myself. And I walk over and I see Todd, and he's in the van, and I open up the van, and he's in there and he's taping up his wrists. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm getting ready, man. This is going to be great. They're going to be talking about this for years. I'm like, holy shit.
Holy shit. Fearless. Fuck.
But yeah, it's just that kind of fucking stress and shit. And then we play the fucking gig, and they don't come in until like halfway through our set. And then they come in and they fucking changes the whole mood of everybody because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
And
tense.
But they're fucking singing our songs and shit. That's what fucking was freaking me out. Like we're playing The Storm and they're singing along and shit. It's like it didn't make any sense. It's just like such a mind fuck.
Wow.
And then for whatever reason, this black guy walks in off the street. He wasn't even part of it. Wasn't even part of the scene, music, or anything. I think he's just honestly looking for a place to fucking use the bathroom. And they fucking mauled him. They just fucking mauled him while we're playing. And Todd sees it, and he jumps in to fucking get the guy. And everybody's like pulling everybody, trying to get the guy away. We got the guy like up the stage and to the back, and trying to face off with these guys. And they're fucking just trying to find the words to say and shit.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And the only thing I can remember is I just want this to all be over now. Like right now, I just want this all to be over. And then that's the way it was. We fucking, at the end of the night, we were going to stay over, but because of what happened, we just like, let's go home.
Drive straight home.
So we're going to drive home. And so everyone went to sleep, and it was just me and Purcell. And Purcell was driving, and I was shotgun. And, we weren't listening to music or anything. We were just driving up 95, right? And it's like middle of the fucking night. And I just remember going, dude, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I get it. And then that was it. they dropped me off in Jersey, and they dropped me off in Jersey, and I didn't talk to those guys for like 30 years.
What? Not 30 years. What? Okay. So that was the first and only Judge tour, pretty much, right? On that album.
Yeah. I mean, there was like
weekend shows,
West Coast
tri-state.
things.
Yeah.
There was like weekend things and shit, but no like big tours like that.
And so what year was that when that was over? 88?
88, 89.
Yeah. So how old are you at this point? You're like 20?
23,
Okay.
24.
So did you go, you just went back home and that was it? You dropped you off, that was it, I'm done, Judge is over.
Yeah. I went back home, just said, I'll call you guys at some point. And just never did.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. Please tune in next week for part 2 with Mike Judge.